Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, wherever you are on this stupid bastard planet. Now, this particular story has been around for a while now. I think it's since 2015 this problem occurred, but I think it's further on down. And it involved a cyclist who hit a yoga teacher. But apparently, she actually works in the city. She just does yoga as sort of a sideline. Cyclist who hit yoga teacher who stepped into the road while staring at her phone faces bankruptcy after being ordered to pay 100 grand. Now the thing is with cyclists, when I read this a few days ago, I think it was last week, I don't really have much sympathy for cyclists, but this was before this payout came. Because usually the problem with cyclists, they're weaving left and right, when you're in the road, and they go through stoplights, etc. So you see it every day. But this wasn't the case. I mean, the guy actually had the light was green, so he was within his rights to cycle through, and then issue happened, and he smacked into her. Let's read through this. A cyclist who knocked over a yoga teacher when she stepped into the road while staring at her phone is facing bankruptcy after being ordered to pay up to 100 grand in compensation and legal fees. So this guy crashed into this woman as she crossed a busy junction in London, and they were both knocked unconscious. So this particular woman, 28, sued for compensation after suffering damage to her front teeth and facial scars in the crash, which happened when she stepped out with a throng of other people, a court heard. What's that got to do with anything? You are still supposed to be observant of all of those things around you. So what probably happened was, I mean, she's on her phone, she's trying to use her peripheral vision, okay, as she's on the phone, as she's on her phone. So when people have moved, she sensed it, she can see it in her her vision, or within her vision, peripheral vision, and then moved with them. But this is the thing: if she's paying attention on her phone, they will have moved already, and she was half a step behind, plus not paying attention. So she's assumed that it's okay to go because she sensed the throng move, and her peripheral vision has picked that up, not knowing that there's a cyclist bearing down. Now, the cyclist didn't hit everybody else. It just hit her. So this is what she's told the court. Now, the reason why a lot of people are losing massive faith with the courts these days is that the people that are in it the judges, I'm sorry, are just complete and total shite. They don't know what they're doing. 3/4 of them, I'm afraid, don't really know what they're doing. And this is the reason why people are so scared to go to court, because they will not get proper justice. They'll just get nonsense like this. At Central London County Court yesterday. See, I've got an issue with our flat. I don't want to go. I'm not going to do details, but I'm scared myself, even though I'm 90% sure we will win it. But there's always that percentage that you will get a judge that really doesn't know what they're doing, depending on how they're feeling, whether they click with you, whether they want to be fair or not, etc., etc. You lose the case. You end up paying out big bucks. And look at this case here. So the judge awarded this woman £4,161.79 in damages, and said that Mr. Hazeldine must also foot most of the bill for the 2-day court, which Mrs. Brashett's lawyers claim totals about 100 grand. So even though I personally think that the blame lies with this woman, fully and squarely. She was on her phone. She wasn't observant of what was going on around her fully. Everybody else was. The throng of people moved forward. So they were clearly alert of what's going on. She wasn't. That's why she got hit. Let's read further down, because I'm sure some of you will be, what are you talking about? Talking rubbish. Today, Mr. Hazeldine, a garden designer who now lives in the south of France, trying to get as far away as possible, spoke of the great toll the court fight had taken on his mental health. Of course it is. Of course it will. He called on other cyclists to take out insurance. Exactly. Now, in France, I've heard that the French make the cyclists pay for tax and insurance. And I think they have lighting or something on the bikes, but definitely tax and insurance. I think it's incredible, even today in London, with the amount of cyclists, they're not paying any tax or insurance. At least insurance. Because when a cyclist smashes into a car, how do they get, what happens with payment? It smashes into the side of a car or causes damage to a car. How is payment collected? We need to start literally putting registration numbers, or forcing bicycle makers to put registration numbers on bicycles. They've got to have them. Plastic, those plastic ones. And, because with the cameras that we have now, so that they can pick up the number plate even from a fair distance, just like as they can with the car. This has got to be done. It's just getting silly, honestly. Because if this guy had insurance, he'd be okay. It doesn't matter. Even if clearly it was 90% her fault. So I don't even see why it was there. I would say even 100%. So he's called on other cyclists to take out insurance, saying, "I am, of course, deeply disappointed with the outcome, reeling from the impact it will have on my life, and concerned by the precedent that it might set for other cyclists." Well, actually, this might be a good thing. As bad as it is for him, unfortunately, it might make a few cyclists sit up and go, maybe I should get some insurance, and pretty damn quick. Because everything seems to have been left to the road users, the motorcyclists, the cars. Why is it that bikes don't have insurance, tax, and number plates so we can identify them? They just, it's got to be done. This is getting ridiculous. So the lawyer from Levi Solicitors, acting for the cyclists, added, if Mr. Hazeldine had been insured, the claimant's legal costs would have been limited to a mere £6,690. That's a lot of money in anybody's pocket. Lawyers acting for Mr. Hazeldine said they are disputing the 100 grand costs claim in the strongest terms, while a fundraising page set up to help the cyclists has set a goal of £21,000, 21,300. The case has cast a shadow over our new life in France and left our future uncertain, Mr. Hazeldine said. Covering the costs and the compensation is going to exceed 20 grand and will leave me bankrupt. The court heard that this particular woman, Brachette, who works for a finance firm in the city, as well as running yoga retreats, tried to dart back to a traffic island, but the cyclists who'd been traveling at between 10 to 15 miles an hour swerved in the same direction and hit her on the June the 20th, 2015. This has been going on for 3 years. In court, 3 years. Mr. Hazeldine had come through a green traffic light and had tried to catch her attention by sounding his bike horn and shouting. So clearly, this is her fault. It states she was on the phone. She wasn't paying attention. Why is it the cyclist's fault? She should be observant at all times when you are crossing the road. The green cross code. Everybody remembers that from the 70s. Look left, look right, look left, look right again before crossing the road. People don't do that. They just waltz across the road. And they'll look halfway across the road to see if anything's coming. But by that time, it's too late. Why hasn't that government advert that was around in the 70s that I remember as a young lad is not around today? Being shown on the internet, being shown on TV, being on the radio. There is no campaign. That was a great government campaign, but they don't do these things anymore. The judge said the costs appeared to be disproportionate. Really, the case will return to the court at a later date to decide exactly how much Mr. Dean will pay in legal costs. He shouldn't have to pay a bean. He shouldn't have to pay anything. Plain and simply, she's to blame. She walked, and she's got no shame, But I'm not surprised. A lot of those people in the city are nasty characters, really nasty characters. They live a life of, or just, I don't know. I've worked in the city for years and years, and I hated the city. I don't like the city to this day. But no, this woman's at fault. It wasn't half and half. She was to blame, and this is the reason why people don't want to take or go to court if they can possibly avoid it, because this is a bloke. If she'd have been a woman, it was the other way around. This wouldn't be the outcome. Wouldn't be the outcome. This is a few people who've replied. In insurance term, equal blame means knock for knock, which means each party has to cover their own damages. Personally, I would say if you are not looking and stepped out into a road, escaping with your life is enough compensation. Yeah, true. The fact she was looking at a mobile phone and not on the road is unbelievable. That there in itself surely should be is wrong, plain and simple. Honestly, is a man I don't really understand. Honestly, is a man made a claim like, oh, right, okay. Honestly, if a man made a claim like this in court, they would have been laughed. They would have him laughed out of the room. He definitely wouldn't be getting compensated. Exactly, absolutely correct. Look at the amount of thumbs up there. Let's see what the replies are. Yeah, because was the judge on a promise? Oh, sorry. My, right. Tango. Here we go. Your grasp of the law is as small as your IQ. Why is it that people are so stupid when and have to be so insultive of a person when they're giving their opinion? I really, good 3-2-1 at Bruce. Then you would be going to prison. Stop writing silly things that everyone knows you wouldn't do. Time for bed. To mention for you today. Who is this Bruce? Is that the one? Sometimes it can be funny. So this knock for knock doesn't exist anymore, doesn't it? Really? Okay. The lawyers are making money. She was looking at her mobile phone while crossing. Exactly. And she fits, and she's fit as well. That probably helped. Yeah, yeah. Well, it depends on was the judge a geezer? This guy's got 3 days. so a few people, oh, misogyny, misogyny. Let's have a look. Tango, your comment is wrong. A 50-50 settlement means that each party has to pay 50% of the other party's losses. The cyclist should have counterclaimed against her. It appears he has been badly advised. What do you expect? People don't know, their jobs. And this guy's saying he should have counterclaimed. Why didn't he counterclaim? But there you go. Not 100% sure what you're getting at, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is someone else before that. Here we go. Staring at her phone. Typical. The stupid, whatever. The stupid twat should have been looking where she was going. Exactly. Like these effing Herberts that walk down the road staring at their phone. Absolutely. Like their lives depended on it. Crazy. I wouldn't pay. Exactly. It's got a few people agreeing there. Jay, it could be he moved to get away from what was, at first glance, a bad case. Frivolous case. Yeah, exactly. The judge mentioned that they were both at fault. Where is both of them at fault? I don't see where the cyclist is at fault. He didn't go for a red light, which is a normal thing that a lot of cyclists tend to do. Not all, but there's quite a few that do it. So where is he at fault? He's driving, he's cycling, he's shouted, he's honked on his thing. What the judge is saying is that he should have stopped. When really, if the stupid bint hadn't walked into the road in the first place, there wouldn't be this problem. But he's looking, oh, you know it's a busy junction. As a cyclist, you should have taken due care. You're absolutely correct. But she should have also taken care by observing what was going on around her. Okay, so she's to blame. I mean, it's definitely not 50. I would say it's probably 80% her fault. Let's have a look. The judge mentioned that they were both at fault. So if they were in cars, that would have been knock for knock. But 50 grand a day for costs seems a tad expensive. Of course it is. It's disgraceful. They're just taking the piss. These lawyers or whatever, ridiculous. So here it goes. Does it make a difference why she was using her phone? Yeah, because if she hadn't been using her phone with her head down and she wasn't staring at the phone, walking across the road, it does make a bloody big difference. Uh, Many today use it for directions. So what? You still have to be observant around you. When I'm walking in, I've walked in the city with my mobile phone looking for directions. I don't just keep my head down and just walk. I'm observing what I'm doing when I'm walking along. If I can't see, probably I stop. I look, yes, and keep walking in the direction with my head up, quickly glancing down, up, quickly glancing down, up. You can do that without just keeping your head down completely. That's nonsense. She wasn't. She was tweeting or some nonsense like that, or Facebook or whatever it was. So that's got nothing. That's nonsense. Then it says here something about anyway rubbish. So you get a gist of it. Complete nonsense. This poor guy is going to have to. Well, let's say what happens. They've got to meet again to find out what exactly how much he's going to pay. Hopefully, the judge will say, "Look, that's nonsense. You know, 5 or 6 grand." I think he'll be happy with that. To put the whole thing to bed. She only needs she's claiming for 4.5, less than 4.5 grand. Then just give her that and be done with. Okay, thanks. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Click and like. Thank you.